Ever heard that we're going to take other countries' jobs? It's never been stated before. We're going to take their factories.
You're listening to former President Donald Trump. He was in Savannah, Georgia today, laying out a plan for what he calls a manufacturing renaissance. He says he'll do it by cutting taxes, energy costs, and regulations, and by taking other countries' jobs. You heard him say that. Here with us now is Gordon Gray, Executive Director of Pinpoint Policy Institute, formerly of the American Action Forum. Welcome to the show. Trump says he's going to take jobs from other countries. He's mostly talking about using tariffs. I am curious here, how effective a tool would that be in your opinion, Gordon?
Unfortunately, this substantial weight of evidence, we've got decades of research, empirical and theoretical, that show that tariffs are a loser. They raise prices for consumers. Unfortunately, these tariffs are paid here at home in the United States. They are not paid by foreign countries. This has been seen time and time again, as recently as under the Biden administration. And they're just, unfortunately, the Trump campaign, the candidate himself, is just flat out wrong on tariffs.
Especially when he's saying he might propose a 200% tariff on a company like John Deere, which a lot of people are talking about after his speech. Moving on to Trump giving a mother of three $100 to pay for her groceries in Pennsylvania. Gordon, let's watch that moment. I'll talk to you on the other side.
Take the rest of it. Here, it's going to go down a little bit. It just went down $100. We'll do that for you from the White House.
All right. He says he'll use interest rates and energy production to bring prices down. I want to know your reaction to this as well.
Perfecto.
Well, it's certainly great retail politics. It's probably not sustainable to hand out that much cash to voters, but who knows? Again, when it comes to some of his proposals, I understand why they sound appealing. In times of economic challenges, when a candidate can get up and forcefully say that they have a single major lever they can pull that will fix all their problems, that's very appealing. Things like, hey, we'll tariff China, and that will restore a manufacturing renaissance. Or when you can hand out cash in a grocery store. That certainly has appeal, but it's not necessarily a great policy nationwide. And some of his other proposals, like a cap on interest rates, unfortunately, price controls like that just don't work in practical terms.
You mentioned those economic challenges that many Americans say they're currently facing. When it comes to that, Trump holds a 9-point lead on the economy in a recent poll. We're expecting Harris to put out some new policies on wealth creation just this week. We are waiting very patiently for that. What could she do that would make a real difference for families? Because we really haven't heard much of her policy when it comes to the economy just yet.
No, this has been a fairly policy-like campaign from both of them. I think she nodded in the direction of bringing prices down, or at least slowing inflation. She correctly identified tariffs as a loser when it comes to controlling inflation. But then they've got baggage of their own, obviously. Massive spending under the Biden administration, of which clearly candidate Harris, Vice President Harris, was a part of. That was a big contributor to the inflation that we're all paying for, and that's only just coming under control now. So the more that she can do to credibly talk about controlling prices, and some of that's going to mean not replicating the failures of her own administration. I think a lot of people would want to see sort of a new way forward. I'm skeptical we'll see that.
In the last few days, Trump seems to be making his pitch to women voters. He said they're poorer now than they were 4 years ago. I need to bring up data because that's what we do from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That shows that is not true. With that said, can Harris point to that as a victory, to your point, with the current administration of the current president?
So I think the real challenge there is that for a substantial period of time under the Biden administration, inflation outpaced wage gains. That's only very recently inverted. And so I think the more that candidate Harris has to explain away years of inflation chipping away at family budgets, I think she's got a problem. You know, they say if you're explaining, you're losing, and that's a loser of an explanation, frankly, for Vice President Harris. So I understand why former President Trump is honing in on this as part of his campaign message.
And I'm sure both will continue to do so in the next 6 weeks. Gordon Gray, I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks so much.
Coming up, Donald Trump telling voters he's a, quote, protector